everybody. I'm Dr. Cindy, your host of the Positively Altered podcast. I am a chiropractic internist and nutritionist, and now a host that loves to learn with an unfiltered twist what is going on in everybody's world and how we can improve our wellness. It might be our physical, it might be our emotional, it might be our professional, it might be our family wellness. But regardless, wellness is super important. And that's what we are going to do again today. So, burning question. As a speaker, I am a speaker. I travel all over the world. I'm always trying to improve my skill set. But maybe you're just a speaker that stands up and wants your children to take a listen, or maybe you're a teacher. Regardless, we all have a stage of some sort. And I think today's guest is going to empower us to improve on that skill set and give us some takeaways, I certainly hope. So grab a comfy chair or pull over on the side of the road or keep those earbuds in while you're working out. But we're going to take a quick break because my sponsors are really important to me. And I want you to take a quick listen. And then we are going to be right back with my next guest.
Hello, my name is Heather Lord, and I am the COO of Professional Health Products. Cutting corners is an all too common practice in the dietary supplement industry. When my father founded Professional Health Products, he sourced the cleanest, most biologically active ingredients from around the globe. Today, that commitment remains, which is why the finest healthcare practitioners, like Dr. Cindy, have trusted us for more than 40 years. We oversee the entire process in our manufacturing facility, from sourcing and formulation to manufacturing and labeling. Today, we offer over 300 unique products that can be tailored to the nutritional and homeopathic needs of each individual. Most recently, we launched a proprietary genetic test, allowing our practitioners to get even more dialed in to their patients' health. To learn more about Professional Health Products, please talk to your practitioner or visit our website at phpltd.com.
Today, your life is going to be altered. I'm Dr. Cindy.
Welcome to Infinity. We have worked hard to create an electronic claims website that is simple and user-friendly. This is the public side. You can log into your personal web portal here. This is your dashboard. You can personalize it to your liking here. Our main focus has been to allow you to submit and edit claims as easy as possible. You will find our claims editor and claims processing simple to use and straightforward. Our quick action bar is where you can find your most important information. Most of these icons will take you directly to the claims the number represents. You can easily view if you have any messages in your inbox of any unread alerts by looking for these blue numbers. To view the rest of our training videos to get the most of your Infinity experience, click this icon. We hope you find this web portal simple and easy to use. Thanks for letting us serve you.
I'm Dr. Cindy. Who wouldn't want to join me for the Positively Altered podcast? Welcome back. I'm glad you stuck around because I want to introduce you to Ivy Gustafson. She has 25 years of experience in the speaking industry. I am hot on her tail and I got a few more years to catch up, and I'm super excited to do that. She's had an amazing standout career with the Washington Speakers Bureau and Gotham Artists. And I have to admit, I'm a little bit curious as to what that's all about. We're going to find out. She is currently with Impact 11, and she helps speakers refine their messaging, elevate their brands, and amplify their impact through a supportive community and expert coaching. Ivy, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be really fun because I love to speak. Is there anybody out there that doesn't love to speak?
You would be surprised, but yes.
Right. I think it comes back to, there's times in class, right, where you have to give that presentation and it's only 60 seconds. And, between the diarrhea and the anxiety panic attacks, right, for the 60 seconds, I think we're all exposed, right? But
everyone's got a horror story somewhere. So
right?
We're always working through that.
But if you think about it, we're all kind of speakers in our own right in one way or another.
No, absolutely. And, through all of my years in working with speakers, working with clients who want to be speakers, right? And, I deal with speakers in the very professional sense, they're getting paid for their, thought leadership and their time on stage. But really we're all trying to make an impact in everything that we do. Like, as you mentioned, whether we're trying to get, my three teenagers out the door in, a reasonable amount of time with a, less than deafening, argument that's going on about who's going to listen to what in the car. This morning it was Nirvana versus Hamilton, so that was fun. But, we're all trying to speak to be heard, and we're all trying to speak to make an impact. And really that's what we do, is to sort of, our philosophy, our motto, whatever you want to call it at Impact 11, is that words and ideas delivered with passion and precision can change the world. And with whatever way you're saying that, we 100% believe that. And that's what we work towards every day.
I love that. Words, I have this mantra that, words have power. We can give it or take it away. Right. And there's also the perception of the meaning of words. It's so important. So do you walk through your entire week thinking about the words you're going to use, whether it's with your kids or on stage, or do they just flow?
I have to say that sometimes, yes, I do think about them. A lot of I would hope that I think about them. Sometimes they obviously do flow. The gift that I have in working with so many different speakers every day, coaching them, and, I really am in the weeds with them, in their content and their thought leadership. And I can always tell that once I start using their words in my own personal nomenclature with my family, with my friends, that's when I know an idea is sticky, and that's when I know an idea has impact. And so the answer is, as all things, is yes and no. But it really, once you sort of get into this mindset of, how you're going to move people to action and impact, it is a muscle that can be learned and exercised and used throughout. So it's a lot of fun to see it when it just randomly pops up in life.
So how do I know that my messaging is sticking, right? Like, if my kids start saying the things that I say, did it stick? Or are there other clues that I might know that I'm making an impact?
Yeah, so I always say that, it's six. I remember this great story. I used to work with General Colin Powell, who has passed away, but I mean, he was one of the greatest people I ever knew. It was a joy and an honor to work with him and help bring his message to millions of people all over the world. And, as part of his content, he had, his top 10 things of things that he always, his rules to life, right, shall we say. And I will never forget once that I was having a really hard day, right? I mean, as we all do, we have hard days. And my son was probably 7 or 8 at the time. And he said to me, and I was like, curled up in the fetal position, but it was close. I mean, it was the end of a long day. I'm a single mom. Like, it was kind of exciting. And he goes, "Don't worry, mom. Remember what that guy says. Things will always look better in the morning." And that guy was General Powell, because that was one of his life lessons. So I think that things really have, they are sticky. They are making impact when you hear them back from the people you've shared them with. But also too, when you see changes in behavior, right? And you see people who, are really trying to, Mel Robbins, and I'm always trying not to snooze in the morning. I'm horrible at it, but we're all trying in my family. And, we listen together, we learn together, and then we try to implement together. And so that's when I really think that, all three of us are trying really hard not to snooze, but today was not that day. Maybe tomorrow will be better.
I love that. I try not to snooze in the evening. Like, I get wired 5 a.m. ready to go, but by and I'm in Chicago, and now it's dark at, like 4:15 in the afternoon, and bedtime seems like it's 6. So
right. No, totally fair.
I've been wanting to snooze in the evening. So I got to make my impact early, Ivy, because
yes,
I'm toast by the end of the day.
No, I am one of those wannabe 5 a.m. people. I desperately want to be a 5 a.m. person, and I set the alarm every day, and with all good intentions. And at 6:45, I get out of bed. It's just my body is speaking to me, and maybe I just need to listen.
So that's really interesting, right? Because I think a lot of us don't listen to our bodies, our brains, our hearts. And in making an impact, how important is really that self-preservation and self, appreciation important?
No, of course. I think it's huge. I think it's absolutely huge. And it's something that I think in this world of Instagram, in this world of TikTok, or whatever platform you happen to be on, you can very easily fall into that comparison trap. Okay, all successful people get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and meditate for an hour and read 6 books, and then, eat a green smoothie, and then they're perfect. That's not how it is. So I think that you have to really take the knowledge you're bringing in, right? Talk to the experts, talk to people like you, talk to whoever it is in your circle that has expert knowledge in an area where you're looking to learn. But then you have to incorporate and say, okay, how is this going to work in my life? right? And you really, it's a marriage of sorts. And you really have, it's like with all things, all relationships, there has to be equal parts hard work, equal parts, those tough conversations, those tough love conversations, but it also equal parts grace. And I think that sometimes we forget about the grace part, and you're like, oh my God, I didn't get up at 5 a.m. I'm already a failure and I haven't even gotten out of bed. That's not giving ourselves grace. Maybe it's like, Ivy, that was your body saying you needed more than 4.5 hours of sleep to get through today and be your best today. So I think that, it's a combination of intention, it's a combination of hard work, but it's also a combination of giving yourself a little bit of love. So, and again, the one thing I always try to teach my children, my daughter especially, is talk to yourself as you would your best friend, right? And it sounds a little trite, but I think it really is super powerful, because I would never berate somebody for not waking up at 5 a.m. ever in
Right.
1,000 years, right?
Right.
And so give them a little grace.
But I need the best friend who will tell me like the booger's hanging out of my nose, the dress doesn't look
Oh,
nice on
yeah.
me, right? Like that's the kind of best friend I actually really
25
need.
years on the road, putting people on stages in front of thousands of people. I'm your girl, right? I got you.
Okay, so if
100%.
anything's coming out of my nose on the
You're
podcast,
perfect.
you're
You're
gonna let me
absolutely
know.
perfect.
I
Yep.
see, and I would tell you back. I'd be like, I don't want my
Thank
guests
you.
to have that going on,
No,
for
no,
sure.
100%.
It's interesting. I always come up with these mantras, right? That I
Mhm.
think are my own, and I probably stole them from somebody else and tweaked them a little bit. But I always
Sure.
say everything you go through is okay, right? If you get up late, it's okay. But what did I learn? And that's the self-reflection I
Right.
always encourage is, okay, I'm not a morning person, but what did I learn? And maybe I learned enough about myself to give myself the grace to go, I'm not going to get up at 5. And by the way, the smoothie that looks kind of gross at this point, because I'm almost done, is not green. It's kind of a yellowish something, right? So I don't even
Perfect.
meet the requirements of the green smoothie today.
No.
And it's okay. It's okay.
Yes. Yes, it is.
You have a statement and I love it. You go, take care of the product, take care of the product, right? And I
Right.
think a lot, I take care of my car, I get it an oil change, right? I take care of my
Mhm.
house, I pay to have a cleaning girl come because I don't have time to take care of it myself, right? Like I take care of products, but what do you really mean when it comes to us in terms of take care of the product?
No, of course. And this is something that it's really interesting. And I sort of, I stumbled into this industry, and, I spent the first 20, 25 years in sales, right? Basically, I was in sales by placing a speaker into the marketplace, to speak at a conference or speak at, an annual meeting or anything like that. The speaker is the product. Right. And I think for a lot of years, I would, it was my goal. I was in sales. I was like, okay, how many dates can you do back to back to back to back to back? And I never really thought about the speaker, the product, as something that needed to be cared for. And so once that sort of light went off, I'm like, okay, that's why I started asking better questions. Like, do you like to, what, maybe your hotel room needs to be far away from the elevator if you're a light sleeper, right? And so I started doing that, and I felt, I got a lot stronger relationships with my speakers because they felt, I was, for lack of a better word, I was momming them a little bit, right? Which was fine. But now I've sort of taken that into my own life as a single mom who's working. I've got 3 teenagers. I have a partner. I have aging parents. It's very easy for any of us to be, gumbied into 1,000 different directions, right? Until we are stretched so thin, we're no good for anybody. Right. And so as much as I tried to take care of my speakers when they were on the road to make sure that they had, if they had a food allergy, right? Did they have the proper dinner, right? Everything that they needed to shine on stage, I have now tried to internalize and say, okay, what do I need to shine on my stage? And my stage may be a podcast with you. My stage may be a coaching call later today. It could be, sitting at dinner with my kids. And what do I need to shine? And sometimes that's a minute. Sometimes, mama needs a minute is a big refrain in our house. And I'll go walk the dog alone. Like, like I will hear about basketball practice later. But, what is it that you need? And what is that deep dive, right? You have to think hard about this. What is it that you need to shine? And it's going to be different for everybody.
It is going to be different. And I'm going to tell you, mama needs a month in my house. I've taken minutes.
I was kind of thinking that on the way home from drop off this morning. I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to just disappear for a month? What would happen? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Willing to find out.
Right. Actually, it's funny. I talk about this in my book and I've said this for years, that I want to find a deserted island. I want to leave the day before Thanksgiving. I want to come back the day after New Year's, because I actually, the holidays, It's not that they're horrible. And as I get older, I'm finding a better appreciation for them, but it's chaotic, right? Everybody's stressed out
Yeah.
and expectations. And it's like, I want to go somewhere where there's no expectations with a guy who will like deliver the Mai Tai when I snap, which sounds really
Yes.
rude, but it's my
I hear
story.
you.
So that's
No,
what I
it's
want
your story.
on
You
the
win.
island. And then when I'm a little bored and really suntan, I'm going to come back and do the chaos all over again. But now in the meantime, I take the moments because I don't really get the
Right.
months, single mom,
Yeah.
3 kids as well,
Yeah.
dog, friends,
Dog.
patience, dog.
There.
Yeah. Mine's on the other side.
Right
Mine's on the
there.
other side of the camera snoozing.
There
Right.
you go. Oh, to
So,
be a dog. Maybe that's just what it is.
oh my gosh, Ivy. So I always say in my next life, I don't know if you believe in reincarnation, and I'd like to, I get kind of weird
I
with
don't
stuff.
not believe in it. I'm going whatever works.
Okay, so I'm going to be a male dog in my next life in a good home. And if you want to be my litter mate, I'd be in, because like I want to eat, drink, be pet, hump things, sleep, and then just like not have to deal with anything else. And I want to be a male
That's
because I've
totally
been through
and then someone's going to
menopause,
take me for a walk. It's going to be great.
right? And I don't even need to be a super active dog, right? Like I have an English Mastiff Great Dane that spends more time laying than he does standing. We don't need Weimaraners where you got to sprint me all day
No.
long. Like I am
No.
happy
No.
to just, do nothing and
Yeah.
get not my moment or my month, but my lifetime of just
Yeah. No, that'll do. Yeah, I'm in.
chill.
Just come get me wherever I am.
Right? So what does a week look like for you as, somebody who's really helping the rest of us do what we do great? What does it look like?
I mean, it's I'm like, it looks like a blender. This is like my joke. I'm like, this, you just sort of like throw everything in and you see what comes out at the end. But no, I mean, I am, as you would imagine, I am like hyper OCD. And so I have lists everywhere, right? Between the kids and the sports and the practices and the work and the calendars, right? Everything lives in my Google Calendar. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen. I'm a firm believer that if you look at your calendar, you will see your priorities, right? You will look at my calendar today and see my health is not a priority, but we're working on it, right? And so, I live in Florida and I've just come through 2 hurricanes and a whole house move. So, the house move seemed like a great idea at the time. And then, back to back hurricanes, like, sure, bring it on, October. We got this. But again, to go back to the point about grace, we're now working it back in. Right. And so it's, in those moments, my elderly parents needed me, my kids needed me, my job needed me. And so, the running every day took a backseat, which is okay. We'll get back into it. And so, but mostly it looks like, probably like a lot of everybody else's life, right? You get up, you get the kids off to school. Sometimes we have a healthy breakfast. Sometimes we hit Krispy Kreme. It depends on how late we're running, whatever, Starbucks thrown in there. And then I get to work. I spend a lot of time really curating my space. When we moved into this new house a couple of weeks ago, the office was the first place that I set up, right? I needed my things. I needed to feel a sense of order in my space in order to feel a sense of order in my day. And, really try to do that. But then honestly, we go, we work, and then we kid, and then we go to sleep and do it all over again. And I think that a lot of people probably have a very similar existence, right? You schedule in, I try to be, I call it calendar stacking.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, for some of my phone calls, my son ran cross country in the spring. And for some of my calls, I don't have to be on Zoom. So I would schedule my calls that could be phone calls during his practice. So I would just go, I'd meet at the park where I have to drop him off. I'd walk and coach while he ran. And so, how many things can I mash together in my calendar, right? To still keep it productive, still keep it healthy, still keep it rejuvenating, but also be as efficient as humanly possible. So
I love it. I say the chaos out creates chaos in, right? When we're surrounded.
oh yeah,
by
that's
that.
very good. That's very
And
good.
it's interesting. I've made a couple changes in my life thanks to my executive assistant, Julie, who is queen of organization and I am queen of chaos and, pound my chest proud of it. But, there's a couple things I've actually done that I'd love to share. And, one is because I do back-to-back calls, but like a therapist, instead of making them an hour now, they're 50 minutes. And instead of making them 30
Super
minutes,
smart.
they're 25, right? So I can pee or
Right.
eat or let the dog out or breathe or yell
Yeah.
at somebody or whatever I've got to do
Right.
in between so that I don't feel backed up. And the second thing is, and I've gotten really good at this over the years, and it took me 50 plus years to figure it out, is I actually schedule time to do nothing. schedule it. I
Ooh,
put it in the
smart.
calendar one night a week, nothing. It's family time, dinner time, everybody's around
Right.
the table. Or there's one Monday a month where no phone calls, no podcasts, nothing, just nothing. And
Right.
if I want to read a book all day or go shopping or, whatever it is,
Hmm.
but I decide that morning. And it's been a real life changer for me so that the chaos outside, which I have a lot
Right.
of, doesn't take over the inside. And,
No, absolutely.
some cool
Absolutely.
tools.
That's so smart. That's so smart. And with all of the calendar tools that we have, because I'm the one who's constantly, because I'm back to back, 6, 7 hours a day. I just am like, fine, bio break. Everyone, and 9 times out of 10, everybody else has to go too. So it's like we all take a minute and get some water. But I like that idea. I like that idea. That's super smart. Just to schedule 5 minutes even, in between calls to sort of, again, give yourself a minute. I used to work with a gentleman, I think this was his thing, Sunil Gupta, who's an incredible speaker and thought leader. And I think I learned from him that for every 52 minutes of work, you need 7 to 8 minutes of rest. And so that really actually ties in very neatly with what you just said, with having a 50-minute call, 10-minute break, 50-minute call, 10-minute break. So I will try and implement that and I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, please do. That's
I
really
love
fun.
that.
Okay, so tell me, who are your favorite speakers? Like, who would you pay money to go see and why?
Oh, this is a really good question. The first person that always jumps to mind is, and I will say this forever, is Doris Kearns Goodwin, the historian. She's written a number of books about just the greatest figures in history, Lincoln, all these different people and presidents. And she recently put out a new one. But I love listening to Doris because she tells the best stories. All of her stories are absolutely stunning. She is an absolute just master at the art of storytelling. And it is an art. I mean, it is absolutely something. It doesn't hurt that I'm a complete history nerd and love it all. But at the same time, the way she weaves her stories together and makes them relevant for today is my favorite thing. And I would listen to Dora every time I would see her speak or I travel with her. I'd be like, can you just talk? Like, can you just talk? I'll listen, whatever you want, right? So she is always someone that I have really enjoyed. But honestly, the people, storytelling is always huge for me, but it's always also those people who really are able to draw a really clear line between their experiences, their passions, their thought leadership, whatever you want to call it, but also the what's in it for me, right? How can I take this? I'm always looking for that nugget of how I can be a little bit better, a little bit more efficient, a little bit clearer, right? Give me a tip or a trick or a tool that I can use to advance my own impact. And I think the speakers that do that really well and also tell a really good story. I think those are the ones who I think ultimately are the most successful. I mean, I could name thousands, of people that I love. I love the sports guys, right? I love the ones, I used to do a lot of work with Terry Bradshaw and Joe Theismann, giants in the NFL. And just to like hear the stuff you don't hear, right? And that I always thought was so cool. You sort of get a little behind the scenes look, right? And so that's what really happened. And Joe Theismann's laying there and his leg's broken and he's looking up. I'm like, what did you say to the guy? He's like, ow. I'm like, okay, right. I could have guessed that. But it really is those people who tell those really good stories that you've just never heard. Right.
Yeah.
And it gives a whole different perspective on something, right? Because so much of what you see is so curated and distilled. To actually get the raw content is kind of awesome.
You know what? I think that's great. It's funny when I launched my book, I did a book launch, right? I
Mhm.
mean, that's what you call it, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
And I had 100 people in the room, and I decided to read a couple excerpts of my book, and I needed a story to open, right? Like I
Mhm.
had to pull you in, and I ran the story past my boyfriend, and he goes to me, he goes, "You're not opening with that, are you?" And I go, "No, I'm going to open with it." And we're going to see, because if it's dead, then I know never to open it with it again. And if
Right.
it gets a laugh, then I'm going to go. And it was a story on how on one day I'm about 3/4 of the way through my day and I go to the bathroom and, cause I get to pee once in a while in between patients.
Right.
And I pulled down my pants and I realized I had my thong underwear on backward.
Oh,
And I've done it where it's also been inside out. And I'm sharing
sure.
this with everybody. And I had this internal conversation about like, well, when you put it on inside out, and it's backward and you didn't notice. And then you go, after you're done, do you just leave it then backward or inside out? Because it was clearly comfortable enough that you didn't notice. And or do you change it because mentally now it's not correct, or how gross? Like I had this whole internal discussion about thong underwear. And I mean, the delivery was obviously a little different than here on the podcast, and everybody started laughing. And I kind of looked at my boyfriend with I told you this would work. But it was funny, right? Because I knew everybody in the audience that had that experience of I've put my underwear on backward or inside out.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because chances are we've all done
it.
Now
I'm wondering what I've done today.
Right. Right? And that I wasn't embarrassed to share the story with you because we've all done it. And really, at the end of the day, who cares? So your underwear is on inside out, Some people do it on purpose because they only travel with one pair for 3 days. And
that is not me.
I actually pack. I pack extra underwear.
Oh, constantly. Oh, yeah. No, I'm like off to war. Like it's my partner lives in a different state. So I am caught in between my work and with him, I'm on the road all the time. So it's like, we'll just throw 10 pairs in. You never know what's going to happen.
See, I agree. You can wear jeans more than once if you have to, even, the hoodie you throw over. But yeah, I always pack extra underwear just in case. I'm with you. Yeah. It's small. So it's insignificant in the amount of space. I love that. Okay. So what's a deal breaker for you? So now somebody gets up and they're presenting, again, whether it's a big, massive stage or just small in your life, what's the turnoff? Where do we screw that up that we don't make an impact?
It's all about you. Arrogance is like the biggest turnoff I've got. And it is very easy as a speaker to you're not necessarily arrogant, but you flirt with it a little bit because you're like, I am the speaker. I am the star of the show. 5,000 eyes are going to be on me, right? It's all about me. No, it's all about what you can do for the people in the audience.
Yes.
Period. The end. Full stop. And I think that for those speakers that do not have that in mind, I think for people, right, who go into a conversation or go into a meeting thinking it's all about them, they're going to miss, right? They're never going to have as much of an impact. It might be good. It might even be great, but it is not going to be as good or as great as it could have been, right? And I think that having that collaborative attitude towards how can we do the most we possibly can together. If you don't have that, I don't care if it's like my daughter and her friend group. Like, no, right? We're not, mama don't play that game. And so I think with speakers too, I think it's very easy to fall into that trap, right? Your name's on the, what's it called? Your name's in lights. It's on billboards. They're all here to see you. No. They're all here to learn from you. They're all here to be impacted by you and your experiences. And so if you go into those situations without your end customer in mind, right? Whether that's your family, whether that's your community, whether that's your audience, whether that's your patient, if you go into it thinking, I'm all that, and they're just lucky to be in my, glory and my shine my light on them, then forget it. Like, I won't book you. I mean, period, the end. I would not. No, I'll go find somebody else because there are so many people who do care.
There are a lot. We see that even in the medical space. We've got a lot of practitioners that get up and we hear about all their accolades and their awards and where they've worked and who they've worked with, right? And it's like, I laugh when I get up and I speak. I have a little bit of a bio and they go, how do you want to be introduced? I said, I don't know, make something up about me. Like it doesn't matter, right? Just make something up. And then I put up this little bio and I go, nobody cares. Here's my phone number so you can reach me if you have a question. Like I'm more interested in you, like getting something, right? Than what I've done. And not that that's not a little bit important, right? Because you want to know I have the experience and the education to present what I'm presenting. Of course. But at the end of the day, I want to share with you my knowledge so that you can take that knowledge and put it in your life or somebody else's life in a way, right, that has nothing to do with me. Because when I leave, I'm done. You don't get me anymore, right?
Right.
And yeah, I hear you on that. It's pretty interesting. And I think I'm trying to relate all of this as a speaker to just my friends and my family, even on this lower level, right, of speaking. Again, like even when I want to impact my kids, it's not like I would do this. I'm important. I have the experience, but it's like, how can I help empower you to make better decisions, to take the right path, right, to learn,
right,
so that you can utilize that information versus mommy just told you what to do.
Exactly. And I think so much of that comes down to listening and asking questions.
Okay.
Right? The best speakers are the best listeners, right? And the best speakers ask the best questions. And I think that's true for, I think, for any profession, right? The best teachers, the best doctors, the best coaches. I spend the first hour of my time with any of my clients asking them questions and taking notes. I barely speak, right? I've got this little like timer on my, AI buddy who hangs out with me to help me remember the things that I can't. And, if it ever gets to like, you're on a monologue, I zip it. Like, I'm talking too much. Don't do that because you're here to listen. And I can't coach. You can't help heal if you're not listening. Right. And I think that goes into, are you trying to share your knowledge or are you trying to help someone be better? And those are they might be connected, but they're very different approaches. And so you really have to start by asking some hard questions and just listening for the answer. Right. Because usually if your kids are anything like mine, and I'm guessing most teenagers are fairly similar, is they know the right answer. They know what they need to do. They're there, but they just need to work it out a little bit. Right. And I think it's that process of working it out for themselves where that real transformation happens.
Yeah. So I imagine there's people out there listening today, that look for speakers and book speakers.
Yeah.
What's something people need to realize because to your point, there's millions of us out there. I mean, truly, and we all have great stories, right? Some are better than others, but we all have great stories. What's something a company really should look for when booking a speaker? What's important?
I think when looking for a speaker, you're looking for a partner, right? And it's an investment. As you know, professional speaker charge fees, right? This is a financial investment. And so I think that really you want to have somebody who is going to be a partner with you, who is going to take the time to learn about your audience, to learn about your organization, to learn about your challenges, and then work with you to figure out how to answer through their thought leadership the needs of your team, your organization, your association, your community, whatever that may be. And I think that, so often this, I think, is really what sort of separates even the good speakers from the great speakers is the ones like, okay, you're a date on my calendar. I'm going to fly to Nashville. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to be on stage. I'm going to shake the hands. I'm going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
That's not enough anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough really good speakers out there that are going to go that extra mile. It's just like any other customer experience that you have, right? You can go to, I live in the South, right? So I can go drive through XYZ, whatever, get my kids lunch, right? Dinner in a sack, after basketball, whatever it is. Or I can go to Chick-fil-A, where it is the most efficient, pleasant process. How's your day going today? Can I help you? Do you need any help with your app? Do you want to try and see what you may have for free? It's my pleasure. I can go have an incredible experience. I'm still getting the same sack dinner, but it's the experience, right? And so what you're really trying to do as a person who's bringing someone in to hopefully have a massive impact on your organization and ultimately your bottom line, right? Is, are they going to be a partner to you? Are they going to work with you? And I think that is honestly, bringing thought leadership towards shared goals is just a beautiful thing.
So how do we learn this? Are you teaching us how to do this, Ivy? Where do we learn?
Well, being a good human is hard, but I can't necessarily help you with that. You either kind of are or you aren't. But a lot of what I do and what we do at Impact 11 is we help thought leaders sort of accelerate their time to market, right? And we help them take their life experience, packages up, put it out into the world, and then build their entrepreneurial business from there. And we really do see speaking as an entrepreneurial endeavor, right? I think those people who think of it like more of as a side hustle or a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you really do have to think of it as you are starting a new business. And a lot of the work that I do with our speakers and our community is mainly focused around how are you positioned in the marketplace? How are you developing yourself into a category of one? Right? But also then how are you building your business? Because I spent so much of my time basically building a business, right? I had a book of business. I had speakers that I loved. I had customers that I would pair them with. And then how are you the best possible partner? Because again, when you're booking a speaker that's $200,000, $300,000, it's a lot. And so, how can you deliver that much impact, that much value, that much whatever, no matter where you are in your career? So a lot of what I do, again, is around the positioning. Do your professional assets match that positioning? Do they amplify your category of one? And then how do we get a full calendar? Because that's what everybody wants. So,
with a 10-minute break and a month off.
yes.
Okay.
Right.
Don't
Right.
forget
That's
that.
the rumor.
Okay.
So,
The rumor is absolutely good. Oh my gosh, Ivy, this has been great. All right, here's what we've got to do. We've got to take a quick break to listen to our sponsors. When we
cool.
come back, we're going to do some rapid fire questions, which I've learned over doing this in time. They're really not that rapid, but we're going to have fun with it anyway. Ivy has not been prepped for these. We're going to see what her answers are. And then you got to hang tight because Ivy, I want you to share how we find you, how we follow you, how we get your gifts in order to elevate what we're currently doing. So everybody sit tight. We will be right back. This is your weekly dose of Dr. Cindy, the Positively Altered podcast. Stop. Hit that follow button now and spread the love with Positively Altered. Thanks for hanging with us. We got a little more to go with my friend Ivy Gustafson, who I am super thrilled to have on today's podcast because I'm actually learning how to improve my speaking abilities, not only with my family, but professionally, just from the short time we've spent together. But now, Ivy, I want to learn a little bit more about you that probably has nothing to do with what you do. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. If you could be the ruler of the universe, who would you trust to drive your chariot?
Oh, it's got to be my teenage son, Max.
Why?
He's doing such a great job learning.
Is he
He
a good
doesn't
driver?
really get that. Yeah.
Really?
He only gets slightly upset when I scream, but that's okay. But he's doing a good job, and I got to put my faith in my boy. He's doing good stuff.
Oh my God. I want to know. So my youngest is going to be 18 and I still yell at him when he drives. I want to know if there's anybody out there listening that has a child that they never yelled in the car. Because I want to learn from that parent. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, yeah, no. Our first drive around the block was not my best mommy moment. It was not great. And I'm pretty sure my daughter was filming it from the backyard. So the back seat. So there is video evidence of terribly inappropriate words being shouted at the top of my lungs. And so, there we go.
I love it. I think there's a TikTok in that for you, Ivy. I think that could make you.
I think, every now and again, I mean, there's probably $1 billion TikTok idea with everybody. Mostly it's going to be around the sounds my son makes while gaming with his friends. So when they're all on the headphones, anyone who's got a teenage boy who games knows this. I mean, they hit decibels and it would make Mariah Carey weep with joy. So it's kind of exciting.
Yeah. And you know what? For all I know, our sons have met each other online because, he's got all kinds of friends that I don't think really even exist, but it's all good. It's okay.
There you go.
All right. Question number 2. What is your favorite body part and why?
My hair. Can my hair be a body part? Is that a thing?
Sure. It can be anything you want, Ivy.
I am a lifelong redhead. So I'm an actual true life ginger. And growing up, I had weird hair and a weird name, and I hated it. But now I absolutely love being a redhead. It is a vibe. It is something that I lean into. All 3 of my kids, even the stepdaughter, is a redhead. So, we are our little tribe of gingers. And I think it is a really, really fun defining feature.
I love it. Now I saw the dog walk by in the background. I think he's sandy blonde, right?
Red-ish.
Oh, you are going to go with reddish.
Yeah, we're going to go adjacent. We're going redhead adjacent. Strawberry blonde. So.
Okay, all right. Listen, I'm going to give that to you. Sometimes the camera isn't crystal clear, so I will give that to you. All right, so it's interesting. This actually leads into my next question. If you could change your name to anything other than Ivy Gustafson, what would your name be?
I actually have a speaker that I know that did change his name. I actually don't even know his original name, but he changed his name to Light, and he is now one of in terms of the things that he brings to this world, Light is absolutely the first thing on my list, or the things that it just makes me smile about him. But if I was going to change my name, I'd probably stick with something in the plant world, right? Or something nature oriented, right? My name, it's funny. My name is Ivy. My sister's name is Brooke. My mother's name is Holly. And the joke was that my father's name was George, which is why they had to get divorced. So he just didn't match the rest of the group. I'm sure there were other reasons other than that, but that was sort of the joke that we have. But I really love having something unusual. And so I would probably look to find something that was 100% out of the ordinary that you just don't hear every day. So maybe take a word that isn't typically a name and go with that. So I'm not sure what it would be, but I would definitely stick with something different.
All right. Well, next time you come back on the podcast, I want to know what the name is.
That's right.
All right. So you've got some time
100%.
to think about it.
100%.
All right. We got two more. If you could pick any mode of transportation to be your only mode of transportation when you have to go somewhere, what would you pick?
Motorcycle.
Really?
Yes.
What?
I don't know how to ride one, but I really want to know.
Would you be a Harley girl, or are you more like the crotch rocket kind of girl? Like, what do you think?
No, I would probably be more like an Indian Scout, more like the Captain America bike, right? I have actually thought about this quite a bit. Because I think one day when I get super brave, maybe for my 50th birthday, I'll give myself lessons. But I have always wanted to be a motorcycle girl. So we'll see.
Ivy,
and
don't
green.
wait. Don't,
it would be green.
Don't wait. What are you waiting for?
For my children to become 18. Well, they have to be fully functional in the world before I can go out and do the crazy things.
Oh my
God.
Yes. Wait a minute. Does that really happen at 18? I got one who's 22, one who's 20, and one who's 17.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. Still parenting.
Maybe I'll get them to learn with me. We'll do it as a family.
There you go.
So,
I know. My son called me from college and he's like, Mom, I got my motorcycle license. I'm like, oh, awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So,
No, it's something I've always, every superhero I go back to, everything that I've always been the most drawn to, every one of them has always ridden a motorcycle. So I'm going with that.
Then what superhero are you?
Oh, I am definitely Black Widow from the Avengers all day.
Wow. You said that with such strength and confidence.
Yes. She's my favorite, and a redhead for most of the movies. So. Okay.
Well, that's the beauty of today is we can change our hair color.
We can do whatever we want.
Yeah. Yes, we absolutely can, and we shall. So that is fantastic.
Indeed.
All right, my friend. Last question of the day. What was your favorite? Ready? This is a hard one. What was your favorite thing about doing the podcast today?
Honestly, just getting to know you and getting to hang out with you. I think I always would tell my clients when I was still booking speakers, I'm like, you really should book this person because she's 100% the person you want to live next door to you and come hang out and have a glass of wine with on the porch. And you are that person. And I really wish that you were down here in Florida with me hanging out and we would have a glass of wine later. So I have loved getting to know you. I think you are an absolute powerhouse. And I hope that our relationship continues far beyond this time together on the podcast because I think you're amazing.
Well, Ivy, I feel the same way about you. And by the way, I speak in Florida 4 times a year. So you're not going to get out of that opportunity to share a glass of wine because I can't wait. I'm somewhere in the States at some point in time and my executive assistant has my calendar set. So we'll let you know when I'm going to be down there. And I think that would be absolutely fabulous because I agree. My favorite thing about doing the podcast today was also learning more about you because you are in my space, not only from an energy standpoint, but a speaking standpoint. And it's always fun for me to learn as well. And I hope everybody out there has also learned. So Ivy, how do we find you? How do we follow you? Give us some info so everybody out there knows how to get in touch with you.
No, of course. So probably my main social business wise is my LinkedIn. So you can go find me on LinkedIn. It's Ivy Gustafson. It's super simple. And the other place where I hang out, I am actually currently on a 1-month social media break. So I literally deleted Instagram and the Facebooks. My kids started calling me a screenager. So I'm like, okay, I need a minute. But usually you can find me on Instagram at Copper Top Mama. So that was my handle before. It's not professional, but my worlds are starting to bleed together. So if you want to hang out with some redheads and learn a little bit about speaking, Copper Top Mama on Instagram is where I am. But if you want to drop me a line about, if we always tease, if you're speaker curious or want to come to one of our events or one of our different things, Ivy at impact11.com. That's the place to be. Sometimes people text me, but frankly, given the number of texts that my family sends me on the course of a day, you are very quickly going to be to the bottom and I will not respond. So email is better.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm the exact opposite. You will get buried in my email, and I always respond via
Oh, no.
text. So we all have our methods. Ivy,
We all have our methods.
you have been an absolute pleasure. I am so thrilled to have had you, and I hope you'll come back and visit us, and we can talk more about things that excite both of us. This has been absolutely great. For those of you that would like more information about me, please check me out at drscindyspeaks.com or shoot me an email at hello@drscindyspeaks. You can find the book Positively Altered, Finding Happiness at the Bottom of a Chemo Bag on Amazon or wherever books are sold, I think. And if you want to hear me read the book to you, while you're driving or trying to sleep, you can do that as well. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It has been an absolute pleasure. I hope all of you have been left positively altered.